this is a Turkish composite. It's made out of horn, wood, and sinew. And so there is a wooden core that goes all the way through, and there are three pieces. So there is one piece that goes up until about here, and then there is a V-splice, and the grip piece, and another piece of wood. And it's maple. On the stretchy side, on the back, there is sinew, and this is, in this specific bow, it is deer backstrap. And on the belly, there is water buffalo horn, which is very good in compression, and sinew is very good in stretching. And so these are very good materials for bow making. Basically, they have an elastic limit of about 10%, which means that you can take a piece of sinew. If it was 1 meter long or 100 centimeters long, you could stretch it to 110 centimeters without the sinew breaking. And the same with horn. You could take a 1 meter piece and you could compress it to about 90 centimeters without it deforming, basically. So it's very, very elastic materials. Wood, on the other hand, has an elastic limit of about 1%. And this sort of explains the difference between a longbow and a composite like this one. And this specific bow is a Turkish bow. It is one of the earliest types of Ottoman Turkish bow. They were made sort of around 1500s, and the oldest bow we know that is a type of, well, typical Turkish bow is stored in Topkapi in Istanbul, and I think it is dated to 1460, I think, and it is this type. It's a, they call it a, or we call it a Bayezid type of bow, because Sultan Bayezid around 1500, he also made bows, and he made this type. And you can recognize them by the grip, which is sort of bulbous, or it's kind of big and round, and the tips have this square ending, and they're quite long. And why is this? I don't know, but I have some ideas. First off, for the bow's efficiency, you would rather just cut this part out, because it's just whatever is outside of the string groove. You don't really need it for the technical functioning of the bow, and it's just dead mass, basically, and all the energy that the bow spends on the tips is not spent on the arrow. So you're losing a little bit arrow speed from this. Not much, of course, but a little bit. But this is a feature that you see on a lot of bows, especially these so-called Nydam longbows, dating to around 300 in Denmark. And they have like a 2-inch tip sticking outside the knock groove, and I sort of see the same things in this. And I think it has to do with, when you're using a longbow, sometimes you would stick it into the soil, or you just put it on the ground and you would use it to lean against, sort of. Some people end up just putting it on the foot, not to put the bow tip on the ground. But if you were to put it in the ground, it is good to have the tip protruding a little bit beyond the string, because the string is very sensitive to getting sand and soil into the fibers. As soon as you get this into the fibers, the lifetime of the string is shortened a lot. And so I think maybe maybe it would be the same when you're on horseback or rolling around in the sand. Then this added length on the tip would protect the string a little bit. Maybe it also, some say it has to do with bracing, like it would be easier to brace the bow having this extra protrusion. I don't know. I think it's, for these bows, I think it makes it more difficult, because when you're gonna put the string loop over the tip, it you sort of have to take the loop all the way around this long tip, and it makes it more difficult, I think, especially when bracing this type of bow alone. When you're doing it two persons, or using a Cayman, for example, then it wouldn't be such a big problem, I think. But Anyways, I thought I would show you how I brace this bow. It is about 45 inches long, so it is slightly longer than the usual bows. I guess the usual length for these is about 42 inches. This is 45, and it's about 45 pounds as well at 30 inches. So it has a little bit longer draw length as well. And what I do is I fix one string and I hold it tightly here. So this end is ready. And then I put the other loop on my thumb, and then you need to sort of hold as far out towards the tip as you can. And then putting it against the knee, and you need to be really sure that when you're bracing it, that you're not twisting the limbs in any way. You need to bend it in one plane only. And so putting it on the knee, whoop, and then the string falls off. Let's try again. I held the hand a little bit too close to the tip there. And so now the bow is sort of ready, but the string is on the wrong side of the tip. And so you sort of need to stretch the thumb and put it over the tip. And then I use the thumb and the index finger to fit the string into the groove. And then I hold it here, hold it with both hands, and then I gently let go of the pressure against the knee. So that's if well, you need to be ready in case the string would slip out of the nocks, because then stupid stuff happens. And then first off, you can check the balance up and down, and it's bending a little bit more on this side. And what you can do then is just push it like that, and then holding it a little bit, letting go. And then it's pretty even. And the next thing, which is actually more important, and that is checking the sideways alignment. And that you do by aiming along the string and putting the string in the middle of the grip, and then checking how it aligns along the belly of the bow, basically. And then you can see the string is leaning a little bit to one side, and then and then you need to push the limb the other way, so that you're bending it the other way, and then it will center. So there it is, pretty centered. This is just for now, because if I were to draw this bow right away, it would misbehave again. Or it would misbehave, basically. Seen from a different angle, what I do is my usual method of doing this alone, like so. You can also do just the same while just having a different person holding this loop and then having them put this on. I just use my thumb. I abuse my thumb a little bit. And so putting the pressure against the grip, and then you need to again make sure not to twist the limbs at all. Just bend the bow in one plane back, and then there. And then you can walk the fingers out a little bit towards the groove there, and then have the loop go over and into this, and then into the knock groove. And then I sort of pinch the string a little bit to push it backwards, sort of. Then you're sure that the string will not slip out of the nocks. And then right away I can see like the balance left and right. Is it bending more up on the upper limb or the lower limb? And it is a little bit, so you can just push it like so. Now I'm pushing my knee against the lower limb, because that was the one that was bending the least. You can also just choose to have this lower, or this right limb, you can have that as the lower limb. If it were to change balance, you could just turn the bow upside down, because they are symmetrical. All of the Turkish bows are, or I should say all of the Ottoman Turkish bows. And then the most important is this sideways twisting. I did correct it once before now, so it is quite straight already. But this limb, you can see that the string is sort of leaning a little bit that way, or rather the whole tip is moving a little bit to this side. And so what I do, I hold here, and I hold both the limb and the string to make sure that the string is not slipping to either side, because if this string were to slip to one side, it would just unstring itself instantly. And that you don't want that to happen. Anyway, so I hold it here, and then I hold the other tip, and then I bend the limb and the string at the same time. And this makes sure that the string is not slipping off to either side. And you can bend quite a bit, but it's best to start with a little bit and then seeing if you get the response from the bow. That is, did the tip bend over and stand there, or did it just go back to the other side again? So bend it sideways a little bit and then see if the bow responds or not. The next thing you can do is, this bow has, because it is a lightweight bow, it has quite a concentrated bend here. This means that when you brace the bow first, all of this limb will be stressed quite a lot, while the kasan will not be stressed so much. But when you draw this bow to full draw, the stress will affect this area as well. But just having braced the bow, this is just unstressed kind of. So what you want to do, and this is something you could do with most Turkish bows, is that you can bend the kasans a little bit before you draw it, and this will make it more stable because it will make the distance between the string and the kasan bigger. And what I do here is just force the knee onto the belly of the kasan eye, and let's just open this up. And this is quite safe to do, actually. It feels if the glue line between the horn and the core is not good, then this is quite dangerous. But you can open this up quite a bit. I stop when this area is straight. So you can bend it until it's straight and then stop. And that's pretty safe. I have never destroyed a bow doing this. And of course, now you see the bow is totally asymmetrical. And this is not something you want, so you better do the other side as well. And there, bending it until it's straight. And then holding for a couple of seconds. And you see, then it's balanced, sort of. Let's do a little bit more. It's important that you grip the bow well. You don't want to sort of lose it at any point. And then you can also feel the twisting kind of. That, if it wants to twist towards one side, you should go back to here and check how the string centers along the belly. And it's still quite good. It's quite well behaved, this one. This limb is bending a little bit to that way. I think it was the same limb that I corrected last time. And this is a feature of composite bows that is quite typical, because you can correct them and then wait 5 minutes and then you have to correct them again, because they tend to go back. And the bow might always be like this. The more you use it, the less it will behave like this. But especially in the beginning, and especially with a new bow, you have to expect to check the bow quite often. You sort of have to train the bow to behave well. And when correcting the sideways twists, it is okay to overcorrect it a little bit. So this tip was standing a bit to that side, and I corrected it to stand on the other side. And then slowly over the next minutes, it will move back again, all on its own. So you need to sort of keep an eye on it. And now you can see that this side is bending more than this. So then I would open up this part more. So when you're starting to be happy with how the bow looks when it's just braced, you can just leave it for a couple of minutes just to let it sort of settle down. And what this does is that over time it induces a little bit, let's say, string follow kind of. The limbs are sort of taking the shape, and the bow is relaxing. So if I were to take off the string right now, the bow would have opened up more. It wouldn't be as reflexed. And this makes the bow more stable. So just by letting the bow rest for 5 minutes, after you've checked that it's straight in this way and that way, then it will be more stable after 5 minutes. But then you can correct it again, just like I'm doing now, and just checking that it all looks symmetrical. And now it looks like this part should be opened up a little bit more. So I'll put my knee there. You can also put your foot in there if you can, but the knee is fine. And again, don't bend it more than straight, don't beyond straight, but up until straight is okay. And I put the knee sort of on this point of the decoration there. And then check the balance again, and I will bend this limb a little bit again. And there it's straight. And then once you balanced it, let it rest for 5 minutes and checked it again, then you can start to slowly draw it. Draw maybe halfway, and then check the alignment of the tips. You can also hold it like so and aim along here. So the tips should just continue in the line of the string, kind of. And this limb, I think it's the same all the time, that needs this sideways bend. And this is the lower limb. And then you can draw a little bit more. Honestly, this bow would quite be safe to would quite likely be safe to draw almost right away. But with all composites, it is good to do this slowly. There is another thing that you can do if the tips, both tips, are bending in the same direction. So you want to, these tips are bending now a little bit this way and a little bit that way. So in the same direction. Then you can hold both the tips and you can rest the grip on the thigh, and then you can bend them like so. You just do a little bit. If you do too much, then the string will slip off and it will fly away. So don't do that. But a little bit is fine, as long as you feel that the string is not going to slip off there. You hold everything here, and if it's going to slip off, you cannot manage to hold it in place, but at least you will feel that the string will not move too much in this separation here. And so you can bend them sort of sideways. And then we're sort of getting close to full draw. I don't know where 30 inches is, but like something like that, maybe. Yeah, so, well, that's pretty much it. Here's a Bayezid Turkish composite. I love these bows. They're really nice.